Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 1011 streaming studio. I'm Madison Pitch, joined here by Jared Maneri. Jared, how are you doing?
Doing good. Enjoying the day.
Good.
It's beautiful outside.
Yes, I know. We really needed one of those. You are here because we are doing a regular streaming segment for Crime Stoppers. Give us a refresher for people who weren't here last week. What is Crime Stoppers?
So obviously, you've probably heard about it. Crime Stoppers is a program that is it's independent from the police department. A lot of people don't understand that. It's actually a board of local civilians that run the program, and basically you would give your tip to them if you wanted to be A, anonymous, or B, receive an award. And what they'll do is they basically take that tip, they process it, make sure that there's no information in there that could lead back to you, and then that's sent to the police department for the police officers to work that case and get the tip and basically hopefully clear the case from your tip.
Yeah, and Jared, something we really want to hit home on here is how much of a difference Crime Stoppers makes. Let's take a look at the stats here. As of January 1st of 2023, tips have led to over 11,000 cases being cleared, over 9,000 arrests, over $300,000 in rewards approved, and this number just gets me every time, over $5.5 million in property recovered. That's huge.
That's really big. We have a lot of times where and basically what that means is they're going out to call. They say so-and-so, maybe they stole some items from a store or from somebody's house, like a burglary. And the officers go out there, basically they're just getting that property back to people. So that's just the dollar amount of the stuff that they've recovered from a tip and has been given back to a victim.
Yeah. How often are people calling in to tip you guys? Is this something that you see a lot of buy-in from the community?
We do. It's kind of interesting, of course, because we hit with you guys on 1011 on Wednesdays, so we always see a bump on Wednesdays. But we get quite a few tips a day, and they can range from anything we're talking about in the media to just somebody saying, hey, there's a lot of short-term traffic at my neighbor's house, and I think they might be dealing drugs. And so we just get tips all the time. It doesn't matter time of day. We'll get them in the middle of the night. So really, we have to have people ready to take those calls at all times.
Yeah, and before we get into it, let's talk about how people can give tips.
So there's multiple ways. Obviously, you can talk to a Lincoln police officer. You can call our non-emergency number, which is that 441-6000 number, and that would lead you straight to our dispatch. They can either leave a message for the officer that's actually working that case, because obviously if you call in during the day and that officer works at night, they may not be there right away available.
Yeah.
You can call Crime Stoppers, which is that 402-475-3600 number, and that allows you to remain anonymous and make you eligible for any cash rewards. We also have that tip line on the Crime Stoppers website, lincolncrimestoppers.com. If you go there, you can see all the cases we're looking for people on, and there's a link for each of those cases to give a tip digitally on like a form you would fill out on the computer. And of course, finally, there's the P3 app, which you can download, and then that basically sits on your phone, and anytime you can submit a tip through that P3 app.
Yeah, there's plenty of ways to reach you guys. There's really no excuse for knowing something and not being able to call it in. So should we take a look at the cases we've got going on today?
Absolutely.
The first one, we'll pull that up. Tell me a little bit about what happened here.
So this is on May 3rd, last Wednesday, and what happens is there's a store called the Convenience Store and Smoke Shop. It's over by 11th and B Street. This guy comes in, sounds like he might be kind of a bit of a regular, just tries to buy some Gatorade and a couple of snacks, and apparently his card gets denied for whatever reason. This upsets him. He kind of throws some cash at the clerk. Sounds like there might have been some exchange of words there because he got upset about the fact it wouldn't take his card. And the clerk basically tells him he needs to leave, that he's causing a disturbance. This upsets him even more. And what he does is he's leaving the store. He grabs like a wooden stool that was sitting outside the door and chucks it back into the store, breaking the stool and just causing a disturbance. So we just like to catch up with this guy.
So you're saying that he is a regular at that convenience store?
That's what we're told from the staff. That sounds like he comes in on a fairly regular basis. I'm not sure every day or every once a week, but it's just kind of fairly regular customers.
Okay. I wonder, is there a way that the store might know who he is?
If he did, we probably would have gotten that information by this point.
Okay.
But there's a good chance that he probably lives somewhere around that 11th and B Street area. So maybe if you live in that area and you see this guy, you might be able to tell us where he lives, even if you don't know his name.
Yeah.
So,
do we know how much damage was done from the stool being thrown into
not a lot. It basically just destroyed the stool. So
Okay.
I don't know what it was stool value is now.
Okay.
Maybe 20 to 50 bucks. But nothing in the store specifically was damaged. So luckily, it's kind of a smaller crime today.
You don't keep tabs on
No.
prices of stools
I'm not
every
a
day?
stool expert, yes.
So this one is pretty cut and dry. It's a pretty clear photo. How often do you get something like that?
It just kind of depends. Back in the day of VHS 20 years ago, it was pretty rare to get a good image, but now we have all these digital formats that are coming out in our surveillance systems. They're getting better and better, and so really it's kind of, you know, how many cases do we get video on? A lot of them, a majority of them, it seems like anymore. We can't work a crime without video being involved anymore. And then out of that, the systems that we're getting good video, I'd say 30 to 40% of those are going to be really good video.
So what are you hoping? I mean, this is if someone knows this guy, this photo is going to be pretty evident to them, I would think.
Yeah.
Are you hoping that this will?
Well,
obviously, you're hoping something will happen from it.
Yeah. Him and can just give us a tip on where he's at. So,
yeah.
I mean, he's looking at maybe like a small disturbance ticket. It's nothing major on this case.
Okay. And let's go again to that tip page. If people want to make a tip, an anonymous tip, you can call the 475-3600. So we'll go over this really quickly. We've got some technical issues. You can call Lincoln Police at 402-441-6000. You can speak with an officer that way to make an anonymous tip. And Jared, let me double check this with you. Anonymous is where you get the reward. You can't get a reward if it's not anonymous.
That's correct. So if you don't go through Crime Stoppers, you can't get a reward.
Okay. And that anonymous number is 475-3600. You can leave a tip online or on the P3 app. That's the name of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to our second crime we wanted to feature. Let me pull that up. What's going on here?
So in this case, what happened was somebody went out to their car the next morning and realized that somebody had broken into their car. In this case, the cars we're going to discuss were all unlocked, it sounds like. So obviously, good tip, please lock your cars. But this guy climbs into this person's car, and in this case, right here, he only ends up stealing a cable for a charger for their phone, which you can see right here. What's interesting about this, though, is that this happens at 20th and Lake Street, and just one block to the north. The same night, we also had another car that was broken into where we believe it's related to this male who took an Apple laptop, and so, or a MacBook. And so how we know that that's related is that we also had a car that was stolen in the area of about 20th and B Street, and this was all in one night. Well, the person that had the car stolen comes out, realizes their car is stolen, calls police. We take the report as it being a stolen vehicle. And then later that day, we end up finding the car abandoned. It's at about 2 blocks south of the first one where you saw this video of the guy breaking in the car. We find the car, and in that car is the phone charger and the MacBook. So they hadn't even removed the stuff from the stolen car, but obviously the bounty from the evening was all in that stolen car. So we're really just trying to figure out who this individual is. I mean, you have a basic larceny from vehicle, a couple of those, and then we have a stolen auto. So a little bit bigger charges for this individual.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such clear video. You can see him getting in. Do you think he's done this before?
I would say just by his activity here, it would not shock me if this is something he's done before. Obviously, when you have any type of situation where your car is unlocked, there are people that will just walk around and just try car doors just to see if they can get in your car. And this may just be what this individual does is when he's walking back and forth. All of these incidents happened right along 20th Street, basically from A to just south of South Street. So he might have just been on foot walking 20th Street, just checking every door. So these just were the three that unfortunately had their doors unlocked.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're all in the same neighborhood. And you know how many cars were broken into at least?
We know of 3 in this case.
Okay. And the total of things taken, do you know the dollar amount?
I don't have the dollar amount.
So it's going to be a little expensive.
Yeah, the car was a little more expensive than the laptop,
Yeah.
but obviously it's a laptop, it's a charger. I think there was a couple like small knives, maybe a couple other chargers that were involved in the one where the MacBook was taken, but nothing of major value other than the car, really.
Okay. And do we know if this guy is... Oh, we're having some technical difficulties. Yeah?
The video wasn't looped. So
Ooh. Still learning here, folks.
you gotta hit the loop button. It's that little arrow. Yeah. Right
Okay, there we go. Do we know if it's a possibility that this guy lives in that neighborhood or if he was just passing through?
Once again, a lot of times when you have a crime and it's in a certain area, there's a good chance that person could live in that area. And the fact that he's probably walking along 20th Street, just based on the fact that all 3 of these happen on 20th Street in kind of a short distance, but if you're walking, that's kind of a long distance, it probably means he probably walks that area occasionally.
Okay. And you said some things have been recovered. Can you go over that for me again?
So we took the car back from the stolen vehicle, and it was a gold Honda Accord that was stolen that night.
Okay.
We also got the Apple MacBook and the phone charger back.
So nearly everything from that night has been recovered?
Everything that we know of. I mean, sometimes you leave something in your car, somebody steals it, and you don't remember it for months later. That happens occasionally. But as far as we know, we recovered everything from those.
Great. And let's go talk about tips again. How can people turn in tips?
Okay,
Do you know anything?
Yep. Call 475-3600 to go to Crime Stoppers if you want to remain anonymous. You can obviously call the police department at 441-6000 just to leave a message for the officer that's working that case, or maybe speak with them if they're happy to be on duty at that time. Of course, always visit us at LincolnCrimeStoppers.com just to see not only the cases we're talking about here, but all the other cases we're posting on an almost daily basis of any suspects we're looking for in any cases. And of course, if you have the P3 app, you can use that.
And your guys' website also has a full list of all of the cases that you're working on. Is that correct?
Yeah, what's interesting about the way we do things at Lincoln versus a lot of other police departments is we've kind of taken on the mentality that if it's a case where we don't know who they are, we're going to post it on our Crime Stoppers page. Now, like if you go down the street to Omaha, more than likely they're probably only going to tell you about, say, a homicide or a major bank robbery or the really big cases. Those are the ones you're going to see pushed out a lot. We've kind of taken the aspect of if it's just a crime that we don't know who it is and we got great images, we may as well ask the public for their help because we're not getting anywhere up to that point. We are done. And if we can get some good tip from somebody, that may end up helping us clear that case. And I think that's probably one of the reasons we have a better clearance rate in Lincoln than some other cities do.
Yeah, and let's talk about the importance of getting these cases in front of the eyes of people who may know them. Almost in all cases, somebody knows somebody who knows something, right?
Yep. And obviously that's why Crime Stoppers was formed, is because sometimes you're just a little too close to the person that's in there. So maybe this is a relative or a spouse even, and you don't want the blowback from going and making that call and them finding out, but you really just want to maybe get them help. I mean, a lot of times what we'll see, especially when we talk about a lot of these shoplift cases, a lot of times people are addicted to methamphetamines or some other kind of narcotic, and what they're doing is they're stealing stuff in order to fund their narcotics habit.
Yeah.
And so if we can get them into the system, we may get them charged, they may get into criminal cases, but it also leads them into some kind of treatment program. So a lot of times, even if you're a relative, one of the things you can do is help us out, and it may help you deal with the situation you're dealing with that individual that's addicted to drugs.
Yeah, and let's talk about something we really want to hit on here is that you can tip anonymously. How can people watching be sure that their tip is truly anonymous?
Right. So this is actually kind of a common question. So in time when you have like somebody giving a tip on your phone or in a computer, a lot of people think, oh, this is trackable because I know they can track everything you do on a computer. And in this world, that is pretty true. However, the whole point of Crime Stoppers is they're using technology that basically eliminates that as a possibility. So as we talked about last week, how if you're calling in, your call gets routed through a system and back down to Texas where we have a call center, and that call center doesn't even get like a caller ID. You can't see who's calling. So there's no information there. And then what they're gonna do is they're gonna fill out a form that comes back and is given to the police officer. So what the police officer gets is never gonna have, this is my brother-in-law, and I saw him do this, and this is where the stolen stuff is located at his house. They're going to wash that information and just take it so that it only says, the suspect's name is blah, 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 blah. The crime happened here, and he may have stolen stuff at his residence at this location. So what the police department gets, it's already been basically washed at least a couple of times of personal information, so that way it doesn't get back to you. Even the officer, if they haven't go into court and they have to testify, they don't know. They don't know who you are.
Okay, so then if you're giving a tip and they need to call you back for something, they can't do that because they don't have your information.
Yes and no.
Okay.
So in the sense of a call, yes, you're absolutely right. They can't. However, if you're using the P3 app, there's a potential that you can actually have a two-way communication. But again, that information is cleansed through a system so that we can't even go back and find out what that number was that it was writing to. It's kind of a cool system in that way that it allows you to still have a little bit of communication after the fact, but we can't get that information if it's ever even asked for.
Yeah. All right, Jared, do you think that I am missing anything?
I think we did a good job covering those two cases, so
Okay,
hopefully we'll get some tips.
Yeah, I hope so too. Great. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next Wednesday.